What's up, guys? It's episode 4 or 3. What are we at? I don't
We're at
even know.
four. We're at four.
Episode 4 of the Young Guns podcast. Welcome back. And today we're going to be talking about who's going to be winning the Hart Trophy. So, a lot of elite players in the NHL. And, Chris, you want to start it off? I mean, you're wearing the man's
So as you can
t-shirt.
see, I don't know if it's like the other way around, but it's Connor McDavid.
Jesus.
Obviously,
which is actually my shirt, by the way.
I mean, it's a logical choice for everybody. To be honest, it's Connor McDavid, generational talent. Unfortunately, playing on a really shit team, the Edmonton Oilers. But the good thing is that they added a established winger this year in Zach Hyman that's coming from Toronto. People, can complain about the contract and stuff, but you know what? He's their guy to slot right next to Connor McDavid, and they need that guy because over the years, you had like guys like Zach Cassian playing with him, James Neal, all these washed up grinders, these guys that are not capable to keep up with Connor McDavid. I think at one point they put Tyler Ennis too. Like they kept on getting these like random guys that just didn't fit the style of Connor McDavid. And now you have a guy in Hyman that played with Austin Matthews, Mitch Marner, John Tavares. So he's played with a good share of
You got
superstars.
Draisaitl too playing with him on the power play.
The power play is amazing. You have Tyson Barrie, who's going to be the quarterback on the power play. You have Connor McDavid. You have Zach Hyman. You have Leon Draisaitl, and you have Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. Am I missing anybody? Or
no? You said pretty much everybody.
RV,
but I think
Yeah,
I think the
second pair,
craziest thing about McDavid, and this like it freaks me out every single time I watch him play, is the fact that the guy puts up these ridiculous numbers in terms of points, and he hasn't even played with wingers that you can argue are like top caliber wingers. Like you could say, okay, he played with Draisaitl, but like apart from that and apart from the power play, like just in general, the fact that the Oilers went to go add Zach Hyman to play alongside Connor McDavid, like to me, that just says like, okay, we've got a situation here where we want to try to make our best player in the world get himself an opportunity to, have a winger that can play next to him. And I think McDavid's done a lot of really good things over the last couple of years. And
but
that's
how many
why
years did he suffer in order to get a guy like Hyman?
Look, he's been
the only reason
Edmonton
why
for-
they're suffering is because of him and Draisaitl. I mean, their contracts are just so big that they can't afford to bring anybody to help them.
I mean, that's a
But
valid
doesn't
point.
matter. At that point, like, I mean, look,
It does matter.
I mean, it doesn't, because if you think about it, right, you look at the Oilers, and the thing is that a lot of the things that they've done,
A third of their salary cap is on.
but a lot of the things that they've done, like, I'm not gonna lie to you, but bringing in a guy like Duncan Keith when you probably should have just brought in a goaltender, I think would have been something that they could have avoided. Edmonton's made a lot of weird moves the last couple of years, and I think that that's the reason why McDavid is where he is. But look, in terms of the Hart Trophy, like I think McDavid is the favorite to win. He's the favorite every year to win, in my opinion. He's the best player in the world, and I think he's the only reason why the Oilers are relevant in any sense of the word, because without him, there is no Edmonton Oilers. And look, to be honest, I don't like what the GM's done with Edmonton. I think they haven't addressed him with that many good pieces around them. I mean, look, they got Hyman, but besides that, they haven't really done much. And I think that's the big thing with McDavid. The guy wants to win a cup.
But even Zach Hyman, I feel like a lot of people
not
are
gonna win it
overhyping
much.
the guy.
I mean, he had a breakout season last year. He was clearly, I think, the best player during the playoffs, and for the Toronto Maple Leafs, apart from Nylander. So, good for him. He got the contract he wanted, and now he's playing alongside Connor McDavid. So expect his production points to go even higher than last year's. Because I think we're going to see Hyman shooting a lot more compared to Connor McDavid. I think Connor McDavid's going to be distributing the puck to Zach Hyman, and you have who's the other guy playing on the right wing?
Jesse
Puljujarvi.
Yeah, and unfortunately, the transition from I think it was Germany coming back to the NHL for him really, didn't work out the way that he expected to. But coming into his second season back in the NHL, I think you're going to see his game step up, and I think that line is going to be very dangerous. Probably one of the best lines in the league if everyone plays their role right and there's chemistry that's developed.
What's interesting about McDavid too is like you look at the wingers that he's had over the last couple of years, and you look at everything that he's had over the last couple of years, and it's kind of impressive. Like the guy put up 105 points last year in a short. Yes, it was in the Canadian division, and people can say whatever they want about how bad the division was. And,
Still a tough
you
division.
know, at the end of the day, the guy put up 105 points in that division, and I think that to me is just it's impeccable. Like you can't. There's really no words to describe it, and I think the fact that he's been playing with wingers that are, in my opinion, below average, to me says a lot. And again,
Well, last year he played a few games with Draisaitl on the wing.
well, of course, but like what I'm trying to say is like if you take McDavid off the power, like take Draisaitl off the power play, like McDavid 5-on-5 playing with like Josh Archibald and whoever the hell it was else. I think Kyler Yamamoto tweeted a bit, and I know he had some stints with Ryan Nugent Hopkins. He did well, and I think that I think it's more of McDavid. McDavid made Draisaitl look good rather than Draisaitl making McDavid look good. If that makes sense.
I mean, to a certain degree, yes, but Leon Draisaitl is a top 10 player in the NHL.
They're both like contending for the Hart.
But here's the
Trophy.
thing: I think Draisaitl's success relies a lot on McDavid. What I mean by that is,
I think they both need each other.
I disagree because I think
They're
McDavid can do it. I think McDavid can do it without Draisaitl, and I think he's proven that he can.
I think Draisaitl could do it on McDavid.
No, I don't
as
think
well.
so.
See,
I don't think
this
he
is
can.
the reason why I
don't
think
so.
Connor McDavid is going to have the highest amount of points in his career this season is because he's playing with a guy like Zach Hyman, which he's never had that type of caliber player playing alongside him.
Has he
since
never played?
Taylor
Has
Hall,
he never?
and they
he's
traded
never
Taylor
played
Hall.
with Taylor Hall.
Yeah, he played one season with Taylor Hall, and they traded
Yeah.
for Adam Larson. If Taylor Hall would have still been on the team, you would have seen McDavid get like maybe 30 more points in an NHL season. So, I mean, I'm not saying Zach Hyman is a Taylor Hall, but he's the closest player when it comes to skill to play alongside Connor McDavid since Taylor Hall. So,
But I mean, that's the other thing too. Like, yeah, they brought in Zach Hyman, but like we have to understand something. We're talking about an Oilers team that every year we keep saying, "Oh, they're gonna do this, they're gonna do that, they're gonna go far in the playoffs." They have McDavid, and the truth is that like, yes, Connor McDavid is Connor McDavid. He's the best player in the NHL. But at the end of the day, like you need a hockey team to win, and they just don't have the goaltenders to win
Well, they don't have the
anything.
defense.
apparently, according to what I heard
Like
yesterday, is that they're still in the hunt for a backup goalie for Mike Smith. And the rumor is
Mike
that
Smith shouldn't even be your starter.
yeah,
I know,
they
I
shouldn't
know.
be your starter.
the,
He
ru-
should-
the,
to
ru-
begin
the
with,
rumor is that they're going after Korpisalo because Merzlikins
got
signed
that contract.
a contract.
Yeah.
But the thing is that Korpisalo is injury prone and he's injured again. He's listed as day to day. So is it really going to be him? Is it maybe they go sign a guy like Devin Dubnyk, which is not really the answer because he's old
Well,
as
bring
shit.
him back to
So
but no,
he
I
sucked
think.
there, but
Look, I think
whatever.
in terms, if we're talking about the best players in the league, right? When we talk about the Hart Trophy, and I think when it comes to the most valuable player, and I think if we're going to talk about this season especially, and just in general, I think Connor McDavid is more valuable to the Edmonton Oilers than
Okay, let's
Leon
stop the
Draisaitl.
podcast here because we already chose our guy, Connor McDavid.
No chance.
No, I'm just we're on the
Honestly,
topic. We're on the
I don't
topic
think-
of McDavid, but I'm going to tell you right now.
Okay, there's
Another-
no candidates. It's
Ano-
Connor
no,
McDavid.
no.
That's
Another
it.
guy that I think actually there's two guys that I think can really challenge McDavid for the Hart. And in my opinion, I think the best, arguably the second best player in the league, and in my opinion, at times can be considered the best player in the league, Nathan McKinnon. And I think Nathan McKinnon's going to win the Hart. And the reason I think Nathan McKinnon's going to win the Hart is because he's on Colorado, and I think he's the reason. He's the engine that runs in Colorado. Everything goes through him.
But the problem with Connor McDavid, oh my god, we mentioned that guy's name so many times that
Nathan
it's
McKinnon.
like coming out of my mouth. Yeah, Nathan McKinnon. The problem with him is his injuries. Every season, there's always something.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, no, he
that's the
hasn't
problem with
played a-
Colorado.
He
Like,
hasn't played a full season since 2018-19.
there you go.
Not
That's
only that, and he doesn't produce as much points as Connor McDavid, and you got
Landeskog, Rantanen.
Rantanen. You could argue maybe, and you got Makar
Yeah, but
playing behind you.
Well,
most
yeah,
of the time,
recently, they added him. Yeah.
You know,
You have Devin Taves now that they have second season in with Colorado. They're gonna have one of the
like
best
he has
power plays.
one of the best. He's part of the best first line in the league.
Yeah, I'm pretty
It
sure
is the it is the best
he
first
plays
line.
with
Yeah.
Rantanen right now,
Yeah.
right?
and
He's like-
Landeskog.
And
Push
both
Landeskog.
of
both.
them. Okay,
Yeah.
I thought they would have like
I
split
think
it up.
they switched. I think they switched during the playoffs. I think
Yeah,
at
to
ti-
make it
I think
more
they
balanced.
rotated.
That's
I think they
way too
rotated.
powerful. You
I
know
think
what
they
mean?
rotated something during the playoffs because I don't think he was with Landeskog at all times. I think he was playing with Burakovsky a bit too. But no,
Man, and you got
in the
Burakovsky
in
too.
the
Yeah,
regular
Burakovsky's
season,
really
Very
good.
underrated.
in the regular
very
season, he's been
underrated.
playing with Landeskog and Rantanen, especially. So, look, to me, Nathan McKinnon, what I like about Nathan McKinnon is just the fact that like you watch him play and it just feels like every time Colorado wins a game or every time Colorado scores a goal, Nathan McKinnon is involved in some way or shape or form. And the thing is that you watch him play and you see the player that he is. And I'm like, this guy, sometimes I watch him and I'm like, this guy could be the best player in the league. And
He
again,
could.
I'm not saying he is.
The
I'm
injuries
just
kill
saying
him.
you watch him play sometimes you're like, this guy like is just he's impeccable. And what I like about him is you look at the Colorado team. Yes, he's got Rantanen, and yes, he's got Landeskog, but a lot of everything that goes on in Colorado and just the success that Colorado has in the regular season, because the Hart Trophy is a regular season trophy, right? A lot of the success they have goes through Nathan McKinnon. And I think Nathan McKinnon this year is the type of player that can come into the NHL and get like 115 points this year. And we can talk about how at the end of the year when the season's over and say, wow, Nathan McKinnon got 115 points and nobody talked about it, or nobody put him in the Hart conversation, because I think he is in the Hart conversation. He will.
To be honest, I don't think he's gonna win it.
I think he will.
And I think, well, first of all, McDavid has way better of a chance to win it.
Of course, he's the best player in the league.
But let me tell you this: if you swap roles and McDavid plays with the line mates that he has,
I mean,
he would
Connor
score
McDavid would get
even
200
more
points. A
points.
season.
So you're telling me that he has a better chance of winning than McDavid, and he's playing with better,
but we're talking
with better
about
linesmen and still can't score as many points.
But what I'm talking, because again, McDavid, yeah, obviously you put him on Colorado. It's like putting Carey Price on the Tampa Bay Lightning. Like obviously he's going to win a cup every year. But
You really love that comparison.
But no, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Or you could put Sidney Crosby on the Buffalo Sabres and they make the playoffs. Like it doesn't really matter.
I don't think so.
Yes.
I think no one could save that team.
But like,
I think if you send Team
Bro,
Canada, they
don't
won't
even
win.
get me.
But
started.
anyway,
I think it's just depressing. living
the
there.
point that I'm trying to make is Nathan McKinnon, I think, is a more valuable player to Colorado in terms of the way he is. McDavid's a valuable player, but we already know what Connor McDavid's able to do.
I think
Nathan McKinnon hasn't really gotten he hasn't really gotten the respect he's deserved, and I think that this is why I think this year especially he's in a situation where he's getting paid what, 5.3 million, I think, or something like that. He's getting paid a cheap contract. I think he's going to come in and prove to people that he is
player.
the
Well,
second
cheap
best.
now, but at the time it wasn't cheap when he signed it.
See, this is why Connor McDavid. Oh my God, get out of my head! God damn it, Nathan McKinnon
It's the team
is my
shit.
favorite player. Okay, he's a team player. First of all, he took a pay cut just so guys like Rantanen and Landeskog and whoever's on that team could sign an extension. So the main core is the same moving forward, because that's the core that's going to win you a Stanley Cup. So that's one quality I love about him. Yeah, I know people are saying he's crazy sometimes. He's like, he has like that like Kobe Bryant like mentality where it's like he really pushes you, and sometimes
That's what it takes to win.
yeah, but that's what it takes to win. And if you cannot handle it, then you cannot be part of this team, because Nathan McKinnon is the face of the franchise, whether if you like it or not. And you're like, oh no, it's Rantanen or Landeskog or whatever. Yeah, Landeskog is the captain because he's older and he's experienced. He's played there for longer, but eventually it's going to be the captaincy is going to be given to Nathan McKinnon. And with the injuries and everything, and not only that, with the players that he plays with, that's why he's underappreciated, because people are like, oh, look, he plays with Landeskog, he plays with Rantanen. Last season, he had Brandon Saad, he had Donskoy.
He's the best player on that line.
So people are always like, yeah, but look who supports him, and look who supports Connor McDavid, and that's why Connor McDavid's better.
Yeah, of course.
But I think that's taken out of context. I think like anyone can say that it's such an easy excuse. And you just look at the whole player of Nathan McKinnon, sorry. And I just like Nathan McKinnon better as a player, as an overall player. Yes, I know Connor McDavid's better, but for me personally, I just prefer Nathan McKinnon. And I think eventually he'll win the Hart Trophy. Is it going to be this year?
I think so.
Maybe. I hope so. But eventually this guy needs to win it, because clearly he deserves it.
And I'm going to go with...
Well, I'm a man of many bold predictions.
Yes.
Let's hear it.
Yes, you are. You are a man of very bold predictions.
And I'm telling you now, the one who I have winning, and he's on the thumbnail for a reason. It's because Artemi Panarin is gonna destroy this year.
Unless Vladimir Putin literally like kidnaps him again, like last season, and he's gone and he's like hiding somewhere for like 2 months.
Because think
Russian
of it,
politics.
either he produces like an insane amount like he usually does, or finally his line mates break out like they're supposed to.
Zibanejad had a really bad season because he
You know,
wasn't playing with
maybe
Well,
Panarin.
maybe he
dude, they
bounces
have
back,
one
and then
thing-
maybe Lafreniere,
one-
was the generational talent that everybody says he is.
One thing I will say
And
is they have
Kakko
a
wakes
new
up.
coach
Yeah.
now. They have a new coach now. It's a new system. Gerard Gallant is going to come in and implement a new system into place. And I think with Panarin, again, Panarin, he's one of those players that I think nobody could, like, when you talk about top 5 players in the league, Artemi Panarin, he's there, but he's not really there, if that makes sense. Like,
Yeah, I
a
understand.
lot of people put him there, but a lot of people also don't put him in the top 5. A lot of people don't think he is a top 5 player. In my opinion, I think he is. I think you watch Artemi Panarin just week in, week out. You watch the way he plays. Like, he's the heart and soul of the New York Rangers. There really isn't anybody on that team that's as good as Artemi Panarin. There isn't anybody on that team that's more valuable than Artemi Panarin. And I think if you want to talk about the most valuable player in the league for their team, and I'm talking about just their team itself, it's Artemi Panarin. Because
Disagree.
Well, you got Fox too.
yeah, but what I'm trying to say is,
Yeah, that was
if
like
you
an
look
addition
at
recently.
if you look at Artemi Panarin, he brings more to New York. He does more for the Rangers than McKinnon does for Colorado, if that makes sense. And I'm going to tell you why. The reason I say that is because I think Artemi, a lot of the offense. Okay, and I'm going to tell you why. It's not a bold
He's just
prediction.
agreeing with my statement that he's going to be winning it.
No,
this
I'm
year.
not. And the reason I'm going to tell you why I don't think he's going to win it, and I gave the reason as to why McKinnon's going to win it, but the reason why I think Panarin is more of a MVP, like more valuable player to his team than a guy like McKinnon is because everything that the Rangers do, right? When you saw that when Panarin was off the team last year, the Rangers struggled. They were not
Yeah.
able to get anything going. They weren't able to score goals. The moment Artemi Panarin stepped foot back on the ice, the Rangers started scoring goals
Did you
again.
see their power play last year when he came back?
Every time Panarin was on the
Buchnevich,
ice, yeah,
Strome, Panarin, Zib.
and that's what I'm trying to
Yo,
say.
Fox.
Every time Artemi Panarin was on the
Ridiculous.
ice for the Rangers, it felt like the Rangers were going to score. They obviously didn't score on every single play, but what I'm trying to say is every single time Panarin was on the ice, whether it was with Zibanejad, whether it was with Strome, whether it was with Buchnevich, whoever it was with, it felt like the Rangers were going to score. And that, to me, when you look at a player like Artemi Panarin, that's what makes him valuable. It's the fact that he makes everybody around him that good, right?
Yeah.
However, do I
It's the
think he's
first
going
time I'm agreeing with
to?
him.
It's about
Do I
time.
think he's going to win the Hart? I don't know. I don't think so. I think he's a runner-up. I
No,
think
I
he definitely can. But I don't think he's going to win the Hart. And the reason I don't think he's going to win the Hart is because I just think that, there's better players out there, and I think there's better situations out there.
Well, he's better than Kucherov.
That's a bold statement.
No, I said it here.
That's
He's
a
better than
bold
Kucherov.
statement.
Way better than Kucherov.
Okay. That's a bold
Way
statement.
better.
Anyways, guys, that's the end of the pod. Okay.
No, but I mean Panarin playing
Way
with
better.
Panarin
We're ending
playing
it
with
here.
Zib 2 years ago. You saw how those guys blew up together. They complemented each other like perfectly.
Yeah.
Then for some reason,
Yeah.
David Quinn, that's the old New York Rangers coach,
Horrible
suddenly says,
coach.
"You know what? We're gonna split them." Even though you knew Zib had a breakout season, probably the best season of his career with Panarin alongside him on the same line,
Yeah.
and you do that, and you see the production in points for Zibanejad declines, and not only that, his overall game declines. Like the
Yep.
guy looked lost. I think his first goal last year was in an empty net, and I feel bad for all the guys that like drafted him in the top 10 in the fantasy pools because they were not happy at all because his production went down and everyone expected him to play with a guy like Panarin and instead he wasn't, and that really hurt. And
That's
like
the thing.
he didn't even. I mean, I think towards the end of the season they started pairing them up again together.
Yeah.
And that's when Panarin came back from his little
and his little political situation.
scandal, whatever happened there. And I think the New York Rangers have so much talent, but what was holding them back was their coach last
If we
year.
keep talking about that, we're gonna get hacked by them. Just letting you guys know.
Well, anyways,
I
moving on
love
to another
Russia.
Russian.
I love Russia.
Uh,
Vladimir
moving-
Putin.
moving on to another. Moving on
to
to another Russian and the better Russian,
No, chance.
Nikita
No
Kucherov,
chance. No,
who
no,
missed
no.
all of last year actually with an
Is
with a,
Barkov Russian? He must be.
he's not. He's Finnish.
Get
Well,
out.
he's got Russian. He's got Russian
Really?
descent. Yeah, he's Finnish.
Okay, well that guy's better than Kucherov.
Anyways, Kucherov missed the entire
down.
year last year. Right?
Kucherov.
He was out for the whole year last year with an injury that we supposedly were meant to believe that he was supposed to be out for the whole year, but then showed up for game 1 of the playoffs. So was Kucherov injured prior to the season? We'll never know. The point that I'm trying to make is we're talking about a guy here who
But I don't
came
think
in.
they purposely gave him vacation and paid him that amount.
I think they stretched it just a little bit. I think he was like ready like a month before
You
that.
can argue they did.
And I think he was doing like light skates and
Yeah.
everything. Like
I think he was ready a month before he was
I would
supposed
say,
to.
I would say a month.
Yeah.
Or a little bit over that. No, I think he was still injured. He was still recovering from his injury. And
Anyways,
whatever, because it was a hip injury.
The reason why
it
I
takes
think
long to recover from that.
the reason why I think Kucherov can win the Hart, and again, I don't think he will. I think he can. When he came into the playoffs last year, he had 32 points in 23 games, and to me, that's very good for a guy who didn't play a single
I would
game
get that
last
amount
year.
of points too, playing with Stamkos and points.
Yeah, but Kucherov didn't play a single game all regular season and just came into the playoffs and scored 32 points like it was nothing. All I'm
he was a
saying is
monster in the
a healthy Nikita Kucherov
That guy was
is going to be
incredible.
very, very dangerous.
So was Kotkaniemi.
Tune into our second episode to check out what we said about KK.
I'm just saying. So is he. You can't. It's the playoffs. Is Carey Price is good in the playoffs.
Yeah, but KK had
Austin Matthews is great
KK
in
had
the
a
regular
50.
season.
Yeah, but
sucks in
KK had
the
a
playoffs,
56.
you know, it's-
KK had a 56 game regular season to
I'm-
prove himself.
Okay,
And
look,
didn't fuck
I'm
off.
just saying,
Kucherov-
you can't count the playoffs if it's an
Well,
award
you can.
not given
Well,
to the playoffs.
I'm judging the
performance.
stats based
Look,
on
it's
what
a good,
he did.
It's a good comparison. Look at Carey Price healthy. Look at Kucherov healthy. They play at their best. Okay, and when Kucherov came back, he was 100% healthy until like he got hit into the boards like in the against the Islanders, like the round
Game
before
6.
the Stanley Cup Finals against the Montreal Canadiens.
Game 6, and apparently he was
And-
out, and they're like, "Oh, you're coming back for Game 7," even though
He definitely was
apparently
playing
he
with an injury, and I'm pretty sure they announced it after that he had some type of injury. Whether if it was the same hip, I don't think so. I think it was something minor, but he definitely got injured on that play. But the guy is a complete monster, and I think out of all the guys that we're gonna name, I think he probably is the best goal scorer out of the people that we have as top candidates for the Hart Memorial Trophy.
There's one more guy that
I
I'll
think
talk
Austin
about.
Matthews.
Yeah, I don't know. I just like Kucherov. I really like him, and I just like what he's done for the Tampa Bay Lightning.
I don't like his attitude.
He's their best player on the team. I think Steven Stamkos, that little era that he had, is done, and Nikita Kucherov is the number one guy in Tampa Bay, and he's their MVP, and he's a good candidate to win the Hart Memorial Trophy this year.
Look,
Especially
he's on the
that
best
he's
team.
healthy.
He's on the best team in the league.
He's not on the best team. They're not the best team anymore.
They're still the
It's
best team
it's
in the league.
there's
On paper, they're still.
you
the
know
best
how
team in the league.
rare it is
Yeah,
for a
they're
team
still
to
the best
win
team
back to back.
On paper,
You know
they're
how
still- yes,
rare
it
it is
doesn't
to
matter.
win 3
They're
in a
still-
row.
on paper, right now, they're the best team in the league.
I think the last team to do that
until-
was the Islanders 4 in a row with Mike
No.
Bossy. I think.
That was 4. No,
Well,
yeah,
Pittsburgh won back to back, but they never
yeah,
won.
but they never
3.
won a third. There's only one team I think that's won 4 in a
Yeah,
row.
it was the Islanders.
The
Last time I think the Islanders was last
yeah,
time that
yeah.
the,
I mean,
the last
Habs
ti-
did it
the
in
last team.
70s.
Yeah, but the last team that did it, I think, was the Islanders. But
Was it Edmonton?
And it's different now. It takes a toll. Like look at the Penguins. Okay, like they went to the Stanley Cup too. When you're in the playoffs for that long, that many games, it takes a toll. Especially when you have injury-prone guys, and Kucherov is one of those guys that's injury-prone. And when he plays a lot of games, it
I wouldn't
affects.
say he's really injury prone.
He
Steven
is
Stamkos is
injury-prone.
injury prone. I don't think Nikita Kucherov is injury prone.
He's been injured before. This isn't the first injury.
Yeah, but this is his first major injury, I would say, where he was out for an extended period of time.
well,
He literally missed the whole season.
I'm just saying it's like I think Panarin. If I were to do a realistic list,
I love all these guys in
If
the
I'm not-
list.
my gut says Panarin is going to be number 1. If I were to go logically,
Yeah,
I would
the
say
last-
Connor McDavid obviously is the first pick I would take because
He's a logical pick.
The
the,
last
the guy's
time-
insane. Then number 2 I would put Panarin, and number 3 Kucherov's not even in discussion. I
Well-
would maybe put McKinnon, maybe Matthews.
Yeah, to answer your guys' questions, the last time a team won 3 Stanley Cups in a row was the Islanders that did it in 1979.
Exactly. It's
to
extremely
1982.
rare. And that team is no longer the best team anymore. They've lost key pieces to them winning, like Yanni Gord. Okay. You lost Savard on defense.
Yeah, but
I mean, he was only there
we're
for
still
one run.
talking about Nikita Kucherov here. We're still talking about the Tampa Bay Lightning. Like
I
they're
know,
gonna
but
be,
it's not
they're
this.
gonna be
It's
fine.
not the same team anymore.
They don't have the same
course
depth
not.
anymore.
course not.
Goudreau's gone, Coleman's gone. And you
Their
add
whole
guys
third
like
line was gone.
Bellemare and Perry that like they're past their prime. They're old. They're considered grinders. And you're 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 removing good players that had a two-way game with guys that are towards the end of their careers, So definitely their depth is not there. But we're talking about like the top six right now in the power play, and until that's intact, the main core, you still have Braden Point, Steven Stamkos when healthy, Nikita Kucherov, Alex Kaloran, and on defense you have Victor Hedman, you have Ryan McDonough, you have Sergachev. I think he's in a good spot to contend for the Hart Memorial Trophy until.
And not only that, but
agree.
I don't know how is it that they grade like
The Hart
wins?
Memorial, Hart
It's not
Memorial's
just points and goals.
It's based on the most valuable player of the year. So
'Cause-
essentially, like who like
because the way I see it, you have who do you have?
I'm pretty sure
your
it's
top
points.
your top contender.
it's not just
it's
points.
not just
It's
points.
not
It
just
can't just
points.
be that.
It's
you know?
points is a big factor, but it's not just points.
They didn't
Like I'll
Just
give you an
think,
example.
all
When
your
Carey,
your top contenders are playing in like we're the best players in the league too. You got Matthews is arguably someone contending for it. He's playing with Marner and he's playing with Nylander or John Tavares. I don't know exactly how they split up their lines there, but they're playing
Tavares is the second line
with second line center. But
So,
sometimes one of them
Matthews,
on the power
Matthews
play,
plays
yeah.
with Marner though.
Matthew plays with Marner. Okay.
They need to find a winger now that he plays Hyman.
Then you got Connor McDavid playing with Hyman or Draisaitl most of the time. So you have him
the
playing
power
with
play, yeah.
some decent guys. Then you have Kucherov playing with Steven Stamkos and Point. And then you got who am I missing here? Nathan McKinnon playing with Ratinen and Landeskog. Panarin is the only guy playing with mediocre talent.
I wouldn't say
mediocre talent, and if he performs the way he did last year, I consider him not even mediocre.
I mean, he's not. It's not really mediocre because Zibanejad's a really good player.
He's gonna have a good season.
And Lafreniere had one.
Lafreniere, I'm sorry, but
we'll see what happens. But anyways,
they need to step up. There's guys in the Rangers that need to step up.
I think
Buchnevich not being there.
What I'm saying is, if they play like they did last year and Panarin's still tearing it up, it's clear who wins.
Buchnevich not being there allows guys like Alexis Lafreniere and Capo Caco to step up and take his spot, because right now there's a hole there. But if those guys do not step up, then Panarin's gonna have a harder chance at winning the Hart Memorial Trophy. And if Zib doesn't have a good season this year and he has the same season like last year, then like everything is against Panarin. It's really up to you really to do something. I mean, you have Ryan Strome.
But if he comes out with 95 points or more. Playing with those guys.
It's all about the guys that support him too.
Yeah, but if Panarin, let's say Panarin comes out with 95 points and the Rangers make the playoffs and they make the playoffs comfortably, you could see a situation where Panarin wins the Hart.
They have the talent because it's the coach that needs to put everything together.
That's the other thing too. And I think here's a guy that I don't think is gonna get close to it, but I think he could be in contention if you ask certain fans. Austin Matthews is to certain Leaf fans is in contentions for the Hart Memorial. I don't think he's gonna be there. I don't think he's gonna win it.
Marissa Richard maybe, but not.
Yeah, he's gonna win the Rocket, I think, but it just he's a good goal scorer. But the thing with Austin Matthews, and again, it's one of those things where you look at him play, and again, I feel like he reminds me a little bit of Draisaitl, where he's not able to do it by himself. He needs a supporting cast around him. Like he needs Marner to be successful. He needs Tavares or Nylander to be successful. And again, I'm not calling Austin Matthews a bad player. I'm not. What I'm trying to say is Mitch Marner has made Austin Matthews look great on several occasions, where I think when people talk about Toronto's most valuable player, I don't know if Austin Matthews is there. I think Mitch Marner is a more valuable player to Toronto than Mitch.
I think
than,
Toronto fans
than
would disagree with that, especially after last year's playoffs.
Well, no, because Matthews did nothing either.
Doing crazy
things.
But
Toronto fans are mental cases.
Yeah, but Matthews did nothing in the playoffs either.
You guys are mental. Okay, saying that you guys had to trade away Mitch Marner. Before that, it was Nylander, and Nylander played like a maniac.
The rumors
now they regret signing Tavares too.
What people wanted was to trade Mitch Marner for Seth Jones one-on-one.
They should have never signed Tavares.
Let's be honest, that John Tavares signing
was useless.
Was the worst decision that they've made.
Put them in cap hell.
But let's be honest though, any GM would do it.
Because
at the time, yeah, of course,
it's a good marketing plan.
Well, not just marketing. You have
he was a great player.
He's a good player.
He was a great player.
Of
he
course,
still is. But
you want to know what his problem is? Is he's slow.
Yeah,
He's
he's
not
getting
a
old.
fast
Yeah, but
skater.
he's
It's
getting
not the
old
same
now.
player
Yeah,
used
but
to
even
be.
even young, his,
Yeah,
his
it's true.
talent wasn't skating.
He's right. He's right. No, he's right. He was never the fastest skater.
And the way it's going now, especially playing with Nylander, who's
He's very
pretty fast,
inconsistent, to be honest,
I
Nylander.
don't
Look,
know.
I think with Austin Matthews, I think what it does for him is he's on a Leafs team that's stacked offensively, right? And I think he's yes, obviously he's the guy he scored 40 goals in 2 straight seasons. You can't, and he almost hit 50. But the point that I'm trying to make is, although Austin Matthews has scored 50 goals, and that's impressive as it is, because yes, he is one of the best goal scorers, if not the best goal scorer in the NHL. A lot of the reasons why he scored the goals, and a lot of the goals
Mitch
that
Marner.
it was Mitch Marner. And again, Mitch Marner had a bad playoffs. Nobody's going to sit
Well,
here
Zach
and
Hyman
deny it.
contributed as well. He had a really
Yeah,
good
of
season,
course.
especially
But-
last year.
Of course,
That's
but
true.
a lot of
Now he's gone.
lot
You
of
have
the
to find
success that-
another winger now.
a lot of the success that Matthews has goes to Marner. And I think that this is where the debate comes.
100%.
I think there's a lot of debate where it comes in of who's Toronto's best player. In my opinion, I think Marner is Toronto's best player. But I can see why people make the argument for Austin Matthews, and I can see why.
It's twice I agree with it in this video.
I know it's very rare.
And it's happening
freaking
live.
weird.
So
Very
I know this is very rare. But also the thing is,
Like
it's
a
just
solar eclipse.
I like Austin Matthews. I don't know how much of a point producer he is, because again, like the highest career points he's ever had is 80. Like he's never reached higher than 80 points. This year he was on pace to probably reach higher than 80 points. He was probably closer to like 90 or 100. But again, he's a goal scorer. He's not really much of a playmaker. He doesn't really put the puck. He doesn't really give the puck to anybody. He's more the guy you give the puck to and you let him score. Whereas with Mitch Marner, the guy can finish with 70 assists, 80 assists in a season, and have Matthews score 50 of them, right? And still become a guy who gets 95 points in a year.
when hot, okay, they're easily the second best dynamic duo behind McDavid and Draisaitl.
You can argue that in some situations they are the best.
Yeah, that too.
You
yeah.
can argue in some because look,
They play on the same line.
McDavid and Draisaitl are obviously they're the best dynamic duo in the league. Nobody's going to take that away.
Yeah,
But in times, and I obviously
they just
watching
don't play on the same line anymore. They play on the
Yeah.
power play. That's what we're talking about.
watching the Canadian division last year and watching Marner and Matthews a lot because the Habs played them a lot or whatever,
Yeah.
and even just in general, Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner, it was as if like it's as if it's like watching Henrik and Daniel Sedin, right? It's like watching those two
They
guys.
read each other so well.
That's it. It's as if they were brothers and they've been playing together since they were kids. Like they literally complement each other so well that it's almost crazy to think about, because they're like two peas in a pod. It's actually ridiculous. It's
I know
crazy.
this is we're not there yet, but I think Montreal in a sense trying to create that with Suzuki and Caulfield in a
They're
sense.
not even
That's
playing on the same
way
line.
well. No,
But
this year, they're-
like I
they're
said,
starting- they're starting on the same
it's a
line. Yeah.
stretch, but I think
They're gonna
that's
start
what
on the same line.
Montreal is trying to do. That's just my opinion.
Well,
They're not at that level.
Do you blame them? Because if you're Montreal, right, you're looking at what Marner and Matthews did, and you're like, okay, well, if we have Suzuki and Caulfield, we can do the same thing.
That's what I'm saying. They're the.
I'm not saying
staple.
they're ever going to reach that. I'm just saying
When you think dynamic duos,
you're looking
in
at
my
dynamic
opinion,
duos. You
like it's Matthews and Marner, because
Absolutely.
these guys not only play on the
Absolutely.
first line together, they also play on the power play
Yep. I
line
agree.
as well. So they're always like paired up together. Whereas obviously Draisaitl and McDavid, they play on two separate lines because they're both centers.
Yeah.
So you're only going to see them playing on the power play. But there was a point where Draisaitl was playing the left wing of Connor McDavid on the first line, and then that's like Edmonton was like out of options on wing options because they had nobody. But now you have a guy like Zach Hyman, like we were saying before. I think it's really gonna increase McDavid's production. But honestly, my heart is telling me that it's Nathan McKinnon. I don't know,
Yeah,
something.
I agree.
Something that's telling me that that's my choice. But logically, like my brain's telling me it's Connor McDavid, and there's no way unless Connor McDavid like misses like a good chunk of the season. I think Connor McDavid's the easiest choice.
My top three for the Hart candidates, and this is going to be in order, is Nathan McKinnon, Connor McDavid, and Nikita Kucherov. That's my top three,
Mine is
and I'm sticking to it.
Panarin, Connor McDavid, and Nathan McKinnon.
I'm gonna go with Nathan
good to
McKinnon.
good to see
number
them.
one. Number two, I'm gonna go with Connor McDavid, and number three, Artemi Panarin.
I like.
Kucherov's not even in any of our lists in the top three.
Well, I have him in my top three.
Oh, you said
Yeah, I
Kucherov?
said Kucherov is
Yeah.
top three.
didn't-
I think
I
Kucherov-
heard
Kucherov-
Panarin.
Kucherov top 3.
Trying to brainwash him.
Yeah.
I do like Panarin better than
Look,
Kucherov.
Panarin's great. I just Kucherov's a better player.
He's a late
He's just a better
bloomer.
player.
That's the thing, because he came from the KHL and he joined the league a little bit late. And this is going back to what we were saying before.
Kucherov is one of those players that I think Kaprizov can turn into, if that makes sense. Like if you look at Kirill Kaprizov, I think he can turn into, I'm not saying as good as Kucherov, but I think he could turn into a player that we can look back on and say, you know what, there is a comparable there to Kucherov. Like you can see it already, that he's the type of guy that like he carries a team and he puts his team on the back, and he's another guy that came from the KHL and dominated the NHL in his first season. And kind of obviously Kucherov took a little longer, but the point I'm trying to make is like when I watch Kaprizov, he reminds me a lot of Kucherov.
Going back to what I was saying before you really cut me off.
I'm sorry, babe.
Motherfucker. No, I'm joking.
Please forgive me.
Was that I think the reason why there's a bias towards Panarin is because he's been a guy that's been around. You know, he goes from Chicago to Columbus, and then he leaves to New York Rangers. Whereas the other guys are named, they're like franchise players that literally like they're the face of their teams. They're never gonna leave unless like something dramatic happens.
Yeah.
But
Well, I
those
mean,
guys are always gonna be there. Panarin is the
Panarin
only
was
guy.
traded from Chicago because they didn't want to pay him.
Yeah, that's true.
And
And then he wanted out of Columbus.
Columbus, he was the face of the franchise in Columbus.
And then he wanted
I don't
out.
think
And
they
he wanted-
wanted to get
yeah.
rid of him.
Yeah,
he
but
wanted
he
out.
left. But that's what I'm
And,
saying.
You know, he's the face of the franchise in New York.
But yeah, exactly. But this is what I'm trying to say here is that you look at the Chicago situation. You know, he could have taken less money, like a guy like Nathan McKinnon did, and then in Columbus, he didn't want to be there, which I understand, which is understandable.
Yep.
So then he hits the market, and then
Let's
you see
be
how much
real.
he
Would you
signs
take a pay
for.
cut if you were Panarin?
If you're playing
Depends
with
where.
You wouldn't.
Depends where you are.
Patrick Kane
I
at the
don't think so.
time, I mean, I would have considered it. I would have never, you know, it's Patrick Kane.
It's a sport where you could get injured at any moment and your career could end at any moment.
Yeah, that's
so
a-
if
that's
your
a
career is gonna
really-
end tomorrow.
that's a
And
really
you're getting
good
paid 10
point.
million instead of 5, and you're paying.
The guy deserves to get paid.
You
Of
know,
I mean,
course.
Kakanyemi took 6.1 million, and he's not worth it. So I guess we can all.
But what
Yeah,
upsets me
that's
about
different,
the
team tried to steal.
It's true. It's
yeah,
true.
what upsets me about the Chicago situation, going back to when he got traded for Brandon Saad, which was a horrible deal for them, I would have done anything in my way
Yeah.
to make cap space to sign Panarin.
Absolutely.
You don't separate Panarin and Patrick Kane after all those years playing together and the production that they both got from playing alongside each other, and like what they could have built with that. Yes, it would have hurt them like cap wise, but like come on, Panarin is a generational. Not sorry. I mean, you could argue he's a generational talent, even though he's a late bloomer. But I mean, he's definitely a franchise player, and it doesn't hurt to have like more than one on your team. So you know that was Chicago's mistake, and then you know Columbus. It's you really couldn't do anything; it was out of your hands. But I hope that you know he could finish his career with the New York Rangers, because I think that's a fantastic fit, and I think him under Gary Gallant and. I mean, Gerard Gallant. Sorry, oh
Gary.
my God, Gary
Bettman, bro.
Gary Bettman. No,
Garrett.
yeah. I mean,
Gary. Gerald.
I think the whole team is gonna. I think the whole team's gonna
Gerald.
benefit. The whole
Gerald.
team's gonna benefit off that coaching change, because I think David Quinn was holding that team back, because they
Yeah.
have a lot of talent on that team,
Yeah.
and within the next 2 to 3 years, I think they will be the best team in the NHL, and Panarin is going to be leading the way.
Guys, I think Edmonton's gonna win the cup this year. No, I'm kidding. But
No, those goalies.
But
You
no,
know, you know what goalie they need? They need the universe is humongous. That's what they
Ilya
That's what
Brizgalov.
they need.
But no, anyways, the Hart Trophy, like I said,
And
it's
listen,
gonna be.
Panarin's got sick floor. You know the guys with the sick floor are always
Absolutely,
the ones that win the trophies. You know,
Let's just
So-
hope he
Bro,
doesn't
bro,
get
look at Nathan
deported.
McKinnon's hair, bro. Look at this. Look how beautiful it is.
looks like he got it at
Oh.
Supercuts.
You know what he looks like? He looks like that. You know that grade 9 kid that starts school and he's going for picture day. That's what he looks like.
Looks like he bullied.
Yeah,
young
maybe
kids
back
on
in
Tinder.
2000.
No, bro. If you look at this picture, like he
That
literally
guy.
looks. He looks like he's ready for picture day. He's like he's smile, the generic smile.
Anyways, guys, is there anything else you would like to say before we conclude?
Listen, if for all of you, I know fantasy is starting soon. I say you draft if you're not first overall and second overall, we already know
Hey,
who's
I
going to
thought we
go
were doing
there.
fantasy next week. What are we doing?
We are doing a fantasy episode next week, but I'm just saying for others that are starting, next. I know like they're starting this week and maybe next week. Don't sleep on Panarin. I think he's a top 3 guy. A lot of people don't argue to say that he's not, but I'm telling you guys, he's going to be doing crazy. He's got stuff to prove. And who knows? Maybe his line mates actually break out, and if they don't, he's still gonna get the job done.
I
So.
drafted Panarin over Draisaitl last year, and it bit me in the ass. But I still finished second in the league, so I'm grateful for that.
Guys, obviously, if you have the first overall
He
pick,
missed a few games though.
guys,
Yeah.
if you have the first overall pick, you definitely have to
Connor
take.
McDavid.
You definitely
Yes.
have to take Cole Caulfield. No, I'm kidding.
No.
You have to take Connor McDavid, and then if you have the second overall selection, you take Nathan McKinnon.
But we're gonna
That's the
be
value
like we said, we're gonna be doing a fantasy episode
Draft.
next week. It's gonna be live, of course, which we're planning to do moving forward. We're gonna
But there's a
do
little
lot
twist in
more
our fantasy.
live.
Yeah,
episodes.
we have
we're
a
gonna
little
make it
sneak
fun
peek.
next week. We're gonna make it fun.
It's gonna be very
But,
interesting.
I just wanted to say thank you so much, guys, for watching.
Yep.
We want to hear what your thoughts on what we said, and obviously, like, what are your picks to win the Hart Memorial Trophy this upcoming season? And yeah, we're really excited with what's coming up, what we have in store moving forward with episodes. And if there's anything specific that you guys want to see us talk about or anything, just make sure to write it in the comment section below. And yeah, don't forget to follow us on Instagram as well. So thank you so much, guys. And until the next one.
Bye. Peace.